Today's fairy tale is called The One-Handed Girl. I thought I'd told you all of the girls getting their hands cut off fairy tales, but there's more. This one involves a really terrible brother and is purportedly Swahili, even though it doesn't necessarily look like it. Andrew Lang, a Scottish author who collected fairy tales, got it from an African source I'll put in the description, and these are the illustrations. A man and a woman live in a hut under a grove of palm trees, and they have a son and a daughter. One day when the father feels like he's gonna die, he calls his son to him and he's like, "Do you want all of my cattle or my blessing?" And he's like, "I want your cattle." And he's like, "Okay." Then he brings the daughter in. "Do you want my cattle or the blessing?" And she says the blessing. A few years later, the mom's dying and she says, "Son, you want our property or the blessing?" And he picks the property, the daughter picks the blessing, and she's dead. So the brother puts his sister out of the house, and she has nothing but a pot and a vessel with which to clean corn, but she doesn't have any corn. But she's a real self-starter. One day there's another woman in the village and her pot is cracked, and so she loans her pot for some corn. She gets lots of food, loaning her pot out this way to the whole village, and eventually she has enough to buy a pumpkin seed. She starts a pumpkin patch. So she's doing well and taking care of herself, and her brother, who is a douche, is upset about it when he finds out. So he goes and steals her pot in the night. But it's okay because she's got so many pumpkins, and she eventually sells enough of them to buy a new pot. One day the brother's wife buys one of our girl's pumpkins, and it's so delicious she needs more. But the next day she goes back and she's out of ripe pumpkins at the time. So her brother comes home and the wife is sobbing because she wants one of these pumpkins so bad, and she's like, "Your sister won't give me one." He says, "I'm gonna go destroy all of your pumpkins," and she's like, "If you do that, you're gonna have to cut off my hand with it." So he does. He goes home and she binds up her stump and goes out into the woods, scared he'll come back and finish her off. As usually happens in these stories, she ends up hiding herself up in a tree. And then, of course, there is a prince who is out hunting and comes upon her. He goes up there because she's crying so much he feels the water and thinks, "Is it raining?" And then goes up to find it, and he finds her. And she tells him everything that happened to her. And he's like, "Come home to the palace with me, I got you." Now, princes do usually marry the heroines in these kind of stories, but in this one, he's worried his parents won't be cool with it, so he pretends to be super sick, like he's dying, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm better now, and since you're so happy I'm alive now, can I marry this girl who's just a no one from the village?" And they're okay with it, so they get married. Eventually, our girl has their son, and the prince has to go off and travel somewhere to do prince stuff. Around that time, her brother finds out she's married the prince, and a great rage took possession of his soul as he thought of the girl whom he'd tried to ruin being, after all, so much better off than himself. So he goes to the king and spreads some evil lies. He's like, "Hey, I heard your son married a girl with no hand. Well, guess how she lost it? She's a witch, and she's married 3 times, and each man she has killed with her arts. The people of our town then cut off her right hand and turned her into the forest, and that's what's gonna happen to you. So you better get rid of this evil witch." And it says that the king, unfortunately, had a hasty temper, and instead of finding out if this is true, just sends her out into the forest on her own with her baby. Our heroine actually has a pretty good attitude about this because she's like, "Well, at least I've got my child." But then while they're out there, she sees this snake wriggling towards her and she's like, "Oh shoot, we're dead." But the snake talks to her. It says, "Hey, let me into your pot and let me go in and save me from the sun, and I will save you from the rain." But both things are a metaphor because after she lets the snake in, another snake comes by and it's like, "Have you seen a gray snake? It's gray." And she's like, "No, don't know where it is." And it leaves, and then she opens it and the snake's like, "Whew, I'm safe. Hey, do you want to just live together here in the forest?" He's like, "I got nothing else to do. I'd love to have a friend." And so the snake takes her to this lake and says, "Go in there and wash with your baby." She goes in the lake with the baby, but then the baby's splashing around and slips under the water and she can't find him anywhere. She runs back to the snake and she's like, "What do I do?" And he's like, "Go in and feel around." And so she goes in, she feels around, she's like, "I can't find it." The snake's like, "Use your other arm." And she's like, "This arm doesn't have a hand, it's not gonna work." And the snake's like, "Trust me." So she puts both of her arms in and feels around and feels the baby. And when she pulls him up, her other hand has grown back. So she saves her baby and she's got both hands again. The snake gives her a moment. It says it lets her weep a little and then says, "Come with me, I'm gonna repay you for all the kindness you did me." So he takes the girl and her child up to a house in a tree where the snake lives with his snake family. And he's like, "Mom and Dad, she helped me escape from my enemy." And they're like, "All right, you live with us now, we're all family." Turns out her husband stayed away so long because he got sick while in another country, but he finally comes back and he says to his parents, "Where's my wife and my baby?" And they're like, they're dead. They've even made a fake tomb for each of them because they didn't want to let him know that they sent them into the forest. So the prince just goes into horrible mourning, goes to his room, won't talk to anybody. One day our girl tells the snakes, I really miss my husband. I want to go back and check on him. And so the snakes give her a magic ring and a magic casket. So on the way back, she tells the ring, I'd like a house right now. And then a queer voice whispers, as you wish. And then she suddenly has this palace in the forest. Soon people hear about this palace that sprung up out of nowhere, and the king and queen are like, bet this is someone who's coming after our throne, so they want to figure out who's there. A whole procession come to visit her, and she wraps a golden gauzy scarf around her face so they don't know who she is, uses the ring to make this big banquet, and brings them inside. The prince is there too because they managed to coax him out of his room, and they're like, how did you come to this house? And she's like, let me tell you the story of my life. And she starts telling the whole thing. Her brother is there too, and he is awkwardly like, oh, I should go. But he can't go. And when she gets to the end, she reveals her face, and her husband jumps up and says, oh my God, it's my wife. You all lied to me. She's not dead, and neither is my kid. Here's my kid. But then our girl is all super forgiving. She's like, hey, it all turned out okay. I met that snake. I've got all this magic now. I made my new snake friends. It's fine. And so they're all joyful until the prince is like, well, what should we do to your brother? And she's like, put him out of town. And that's what they do. As always, check out my book, Dust Spells, Reimagining of the Fairy Tale, The 12 Dancing Princesses, and my podcast. All the links are in the bio.